Over the next 3 weeks, a pattern emerged. Dorian James found reasons to cross Amara's path with alarming frequency. He'd appear at the coffee station on her floor, a floor he had no reason to be on. He'd stop by her office to ask about a project that someone 3 levels down could have updated him on. He'd send emails about policy reviews that somehow always required clarification that could only happen in person. And every single time, he looked at her like she was the most fascinating person in the building. Amara tried to stay professional. She really did. But it was hard to maintain professional distance when someone looked at you like they were actively rewriting their 5-year plan. To include your existence, her team noticed. Patricia noticed. Hell, probably the entire 24th floor noticed. So, said Marcus, one of her HR generalists during a team meeting, is it true that Mr. James personally reviewed our department's budget last week? He's very hands-on, Amara said diplomatically. He's never been hands-on with HR budgets before, Marcus pointed out. Like ever, in the 7 years I've worked here. Amara had no good answer to that. The truth was, she was starting to feel something she didn't want to feel. Every time Dorian appeared in her doorway, her heart did a stupid little flip. Every time his hand brushed hers when passing documents, electricity shot through her. Every time he smiled, that rare, genuine smile he seemed to save for her, something in her chest went warm and soft. She was developing feelings for her boss's boss's boss. This was bad. This was really bad. She tried to create distance, started taking lunch at different times, kept her office door closed more often, responded to his emails professionally but briefly. It didn't work. Dorian seemed to interpret her distance as a challenge. One evening, 3 weeks after she'd started, Amara was working late. The floor was mostly empty, just her and the cleaning crew. She was deep in revision of the company's parental leave policy when she heard footsteps approaching. She looked up. Dorian stood in her doorway, tie loosened, top button undone, looking somehow more devastating in his slight dishevelment than in his usual perfection. Working late, he observed. So are you, apparently. I had a board meeting. He stepped into her office, and she noticed he was carrying his suit jacket over one arm. What's your excuse? This parental leave policy is stuck in 2015. I'm trying to bring it into the current decade. Admirable. He sat in one of her visitor chairs uninvited, stretching his long legs out in front of him. What changes are you proposing? Amara blinked at him. Was he seriously asking about parental leave policy at 7:30 at night? Extended leave for both parents, not just mothers. Flexible return options. Adoption leave parity. Lactation support beyond the legal minimum. She rattled off her list, watching his face for signs of boredom. Instead, he leaned forward, genuinely interested. What's the business case? Retention, primarily. We lose talented people, especially women, because we make them choose between career and family. If we support both, we keep our best people and we attract better talent. Smart. He was quiet for a moment, just looking at her. Then, you're good at this. I know, Amara said, because false modesty had never been her style. His smile widened. I like that about you. What? That you know your worth. That you don't apologize for being exceptional. Amara's mouth went dry. The way he was looking at her, like she was the only person in the world, like he could sit there all night just listening to her. Talk about HR policy. It was doing dangerous things to her resolve. Mr. St. James. Dorian, he corrected softly. When it's just us, please, call me Dorian. Dorian, she said, and his name felt intimate on her tongue. I think you should know I'm not. I didn't take this job to. To what? To be pursued, she finished. I took this job because I'm good at it. Because I earned it. Because I want to build a career here. And I can't do that if people think that you slept your way into the position? His voice had gone cold, sharp. Anyone who thinks that would be a fool. Fools gossip, Amara said. And gossip destroys careers, especially careers like mine. Dorian was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was careful, measured. I understand. You're right to protect yourself. Your reputation, your career. Relief and disappointment warred in her chest. Thank you. He stood, collecting his jacket. At her door, he paused and turned back. For what it's worth, Amara, I wasn't pursuing you because of this job. I was pursuing you in spite of it. He left before she could respond. Amara sat in her office for a long time after that, staring at her computer screen without seeing it. She'd done the right thing, the professional thing, the smart thing. So why did it feel like she'd just made a terrible mistake? 2 months into her role, Amara had settled into a rhythm. Her team was thriving, her projects were gaining traction, and she'd even started building friendships with other women in leadership. And Dorian James had backed off. He still attended meetings she was in, still reviewed her proposals, still sent the occasional email. But the warmth was gone, the lingering looks, the soft smiles, the excuses to stop by her office. All of it had evaporated. He was perfectly professional, perfectly polite, perfectly distant. Amara told herself this was what she wanted. This was what she'd asked for. But at night, alone in her apartment, she found herself missing the way he used to look at her. The way his presence had made every day feel charged with possibility. She'd been so focused on protecting her career that she hadn't considered she might be protecting herself from something real. Simone noticed the change in her. "You've been moping for 2 weeks?" "I'm not moping," Amara protested. They were at their favorite brunch spot, bottomless mimosas making everything feel slightly softer. "I'm just adjusting." "To what? Getting exactly what you said you wanted?" "Yes." Amara.girl, be honest with yourself. Do you have feelings for him? Amara took a long sip of her mimosa. "It doesn't matter. That's not a no. I told him to back off. I drew a boundary. I can't be mad that he's respecting it." "You're not mad," Simone said gently. "You're sad. There's a difference." Amara didn't respond because Simone was right, and admitting it out loud would make it too real. Monday morning, Amara walked into work with renewed determination. She had a career to build, policies to change, a team to lead. Romance, or whatever that thing with Dorian had been, was a distraction she couldn't afford. She was reviewing applications for a new HR coordinator when her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Heard you got a fancy new job, must be nice." Her blood went cold. Kelvin. She blocked the number immediately, hands shaking. Over the next week, the texts kept coming. New numbers each time, always the same tone, bitter, accusatory, designed to make her feel small. "Bet you're real proud of yourself. Wonder how long until they figure out you're not that special. You always did think you were better than everyone?" Amara didn't respond to any of them. She blocked each number, documented everything, and tried to focus on work. But she started feeling paranoid. Started checking behind her in parking garages, started varying her route home. Started keeping her office door locked even during the day. She didn't tell anyone. Not Simone, not Patricia, not her team, because admitting that Kelvin was harassing her felt like admitting he still had power over her. And she refused to give him that. 2 weeks after the text started, Amara was leaving the office late. Again. She'd started leaving earlier, trying to avoid the evening parking garage when it was empty. But tonight she'd lost track of time, and when she finally packed up, it was already dark outside. The parking garage was nearly empty. Her footsteps echoed off concrete as she walked quickly toward her car, keys clutched between her fingers like her mother had taught her. She was almost to her car when she heard footsteps behind her. Heavy, male, deliberate. Her heart lurched into her throat. "Amara!" She spun around. Kelvin stood 15 feet away, hands in his pockets, that familiar, smug expression on his face that she'd once found charming and now found repulsive. "What are you doing here?" Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "We need to talk." "No, we don't. Leave now, or I'm calling security." He laughed, that condescending laugh that used to make her feel small. "Security? Come on, baby. Don't be dramatic. I just want to talk." "Don't call me that." She pulled out her phone. "I'm serious, Kelvin. Leave." He took a step closer. "I heard about your new job. Pretty convenient, huh? You get fired and immediately land something better?" "Makes a man wonder what you had to do to get it," rage flared hot in her chest. "I earned this position through my qualifications, my experience, my talent. All things you never had enough of to get ahead on your own." His expression darkened. "You always had a smart mouth. That's your problem. You never knew when to be humble. Never knew how to make a man feel like a man. Maybe because I was too busy being an actual professional to stroke your ego." He took another step. "You think you're so much better now, working at this fancy company? Let me tell you something. You're going to fail. You're going to crash and burn. And when you do, don't come crying to me." Trust me, Amara said, her voice dripping with disdain. If I'm ever desperate enough to cry to you, I hope I lose my mind first. You bit. The next thing you say to her, a voice cut through the garage like a blade, will be the last thing you say freely. Amara's heart stopped for an entirely different reason. Dorian stepped out from behind a concrete pillar, and if she'd thought he looked intimidating in a boardroom, it was nothing compared to how he looked right now. Furious didn't begin to cover it. He moved toward them with controlled precision, like a predator who'd just spotted prey. Kelvin's eyes went wide. Who the hell are you? I'm Dorian James. His voice was arctic. I own this building. I own the company, and you are currently trespassing and harassing one of my employees. Kelvin's face went pale. We were just threatening her? Dorian's voice dropped even lower. Because that's what I heard, along with some interesting speculation about how she earned her position. Look, man, this is between me and... No. Dorian was beside Amara now, positioned slightly in front of her without blocking her in. This is between you and the security team that's on their way up here, and the police who will be filing a restraining order. And every company in this city that will know exactly why you're unemployable. You can't do that, Kelvin said, but his voice had lost its confidence. Watch me. Dorian pulled out his phone, never taking his eyes off Kelvin. Marcus, we have a trespasser in the parking garage. Level 3. Yes, alert the police, and pull all security footage from the last 30 minutes. Kelvin's face had gone from pale to gray. This is insane. She's not worth... Finish that sentence, Dorian said quietly, and I will personally ensure that your life becomes very, very difficult. The sound of footsteps and radio static announced security's arrival. 2 guards emerged from the elevator, immediately moving to flank Kelvin. Escort him out, Dorian instructed. And make sure he understands that if he comes within 500 feet of this building or Miss Johnson again, he'll be arrested for stalking and trespassing. As security led a protesting Kelvin away, Amara felt the adrenaline crash hit. Her hands started shaking, her knees went weak. Dorian's hands caught her elbows, steadying her. Hey, look at me, you're safe. She looked up into those blue eyes, and suddenly all the fear, all the stress, all the pretending she was okay came crashing down. Tears spilled over before she could stop them. I'm sorry, she gasped. I'm sorry, I'm not usually, I don't... Stop apologizing. His voice was gentle now, all the ice melted away. How long has he been harassing you? 2 weeks, maybe 3. Texts from different numbers. I blocked them all, I documented everything. I didn't want anyone to think I couldn't handle it. Dorian's jaw clenched. Amara, this isn't about handling it. This is about being safe. I know, She wiped at her tears angrily. I didn't want to be that woman. The one who needs rescuing. You're not. He ducked his head slightly, trying to catch her eyes. You're the woman who got herself out of a bad situation, rebuilt her life, and earned a position through sheer excellence. One insecure man doesn't change that. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him. Come on, Dorian said softly. Let me drive you home. We can arrange for your car to be brought to you tomorrow. You don't have to. I know I don't have to. I want to. Please. The please did it. The way he said it, not commanding, asking, giving her the choice. Okay, she whispered. His car was waiting on the executive level, the same sleek black vehicle where this whole thing had started. Marcus, his driver, nodded at them both, his expression carefully neutral as he opened the back door. Amara slid in, and Dorian followed, maintaining a careful distance on the seat beside her. Where do you live? He asked. She gave Marcus the address, and they pulled out into the night. For several minutes, neither of them spoke. Amara stared out the window, watching the city lights blur past, trying to process everything that had just happened. How did you know? She finally asked. That I was in trouble? I didn't, Dorian admitted. I was working late. I happened to be leaving when I saw you in the garage, and something felt off. The way you were walking, how you were holding your keys. I was going to just make sure you got to your car safely, but then I saw him. You were going to make sure I got to my car safely, Amara repeated. Why? He was quiet for a moment. Then, because even though I've respected your boundaries, even though I've kept my distance, I still care about your well-being. That doesn't just turn off. Her heart squeezed. Dorian, You don't have to say anything, he said quickly. I'm not telling you this to pressure you or to change what you asked for. You should know. You're not alone. Even if you want to keep things professional between us, you have people who care about you, who want you safe. They pulled up in front of her apartment building, and Amara turned to face Dorian fully. In the dim light of the car, he looked tired, worried, human in a way she'd never seen before. Thank you, she said softly. For tonight, for everything. Anyone would have… No. She cut him off. Not anyone. Most people would have pretended not to see. Or assumed I had it handled. Or let security deal with it without getting personally involved. You didn't. So thank you. He held her gaze. You're welcome. She should get out of the car. Should go inside, lock her door, process everything alone like she always did. Instead, she heard herself say, Do you want to come up just for a minute? She took a breath. I don't want to be alone right now. Something flickered in his eyes. Are you sure? No, she admitted, but I'm asking anyway. He studied her face for a long moment, and she could see him weighing it. The professional implications, the boundaries she'd set, the risk of crossing lines that might not be crossable again. Then he nodded. Okay. Amara's apartment suddenly felt very small with Dorian James standing in it. He looked around with genuine interest, taking in her gallery wall of black art, her overflowing bookshelves, her thriving collection of plants. Basquiat, who immediately approached him for inspection. Nice place, he said, crouching down to let her cat sniff his hand. It's not exactly a penthouse. It's you, he said simply. That makes it perfect. Amara felt something crack open in her chest. Do you want tea? Coffee? I have wine, but I'm not sure mixing that with adrenaline crash is a good idea. Tea is fine. She busied herself in the kitchen, grateful for something to do with her hands. Dorian stayed in the living room, giving her space but remaining present. She could feel his awareness of her even through the wall. When she returned with 2 mugs of chamomile, he was sitting on her couch, looking at a photo on her side table. Her graduation day, her mother's arm around her shoulders, both of them beaming. Your mother? He asked. Yeah, that was when I got my master's. She worked 3 jobs to help me get through undergrad. When I got accepted to grad school, she cried for an hour. She's proud of you. She is. Amara sat on the opposite end of the couch, tucking her legs under her. What about your family? Complicated, Dorian said. My father built the company but wasn't particularly interested in having a son. My mother was more concerned with appearances than affection. I learned early that love was conditional, based on performance, achievement, utility. The matter-of-fact way he said it broke her heart a little. That's lonely, she said softly. It was. He met her eyes. Until recently, I didn't realize how lonely. The air between them shifted, charged with something electric. Dorian, I know what you're going to say, he interrupted gently. And you're right. This is complicated. Your career, my position, the optics, all of it. Then why are you here? Because you asked me to be. He set his mug down, turning to face her fully. Because when someone I care about is afraid, nothing else matters. Not policy, not propriety, not professional distance. Nothing, Amara's breath caught. Someone you care about? Amara. He said her name like a prayer. I've been almost in love with you since the moment you performed that speech about wiping tears. I've been fully in love with you since your interview when you refused to back down from any question I threw at you. And I've been completely, hopelessly in love since the day you walked into your office and made it clear that you were here to change things, not to impress me. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only stare at him as his words rewrote her understanding of the last 3 months. You're in love with me, she whispered, terrifyingly so. A rueful smile crossed his face. I know the timing is terrible. I know you don't want this. I know every logical reason why this is a bad idea. But you asked me why I'm here, and that's why. Because I love you, and when someone I love needs me, I show up. Amara felt tears building again, but these were different. Not fear, not stress. Wonder, disbelief, hope. I pushed you away, she said. You protected yourself. There's a difference? I thought you lost interest. I gave you space, also a difference. She laughed wetly. You're very good at differences. Amara. He shifted slightly closer, still not touching her, but close enough that she could feel his warmth. I need you to understand something. I don't care about optics. I don't care what people think. If you want this, if you want us, we'll figure it out, but only if you want it. Your career, your reputation, your comfort, they all matter more than my feelings. And if I do want it, she asked, her voice barely audible. If I want you? His eyes darkened. Then we take it slow. We keep it private until you're ready. We make sure that no one can ever question that you earned your position. We do it right. That could take months. I've waited this long. I can wait longer. Amara looked at him, really looked at him, at the way he held himself carefully, giving her space to choose. At the way his eyes held nothing but patience and certainty. At the way he was offering her everything while demanding nothing. This man had fallen in love with her chaos, had protected her without trying to control her. Had backed off when she asked and shown up when she needed him. This man loved her. And I'm scared, she admitted, of getting this wrong, of people thinking I didn't earn my place, of losing myself in someone again like I did with Kelvin. Those are valid fears, Dorian said. But Amara, I'm not Kelvin. I don't need you small. I don't need you dim. I fell in love with your fire, your brilliance, your refusal to be anything less than extraordinary. Why would I ever want to change that? A tear slipped down her cheek. You really mean that? I really mean that. She set down her mug with shaking hands, shifted closer on the couch. Close enough to see the flecks of gray in his blue eyes, close enough to count his eyelashes if she wanted to. I think, she said slowly, I might be falling in love with you too, which terrifies me. Because I promised myself I wouldn't need anyone. Wouldn't let anyone have this kind of power over me again. Then don't, Dorian said softly. Don't need me, want me, choose me, but keep your power, keep your independence. Keep being exactly who you are. I don't want to be your other half, Amara. I want to be your partner. Your equal. The person who stands beside you while you set the world on fire. That's a really good speech, she whispered. I've been practicing, he admitted, and there was that rare, devastating smile. Though not in front of any car windows. She laughed, and suddenly the space between them felt like both too much and not enough. Can I kiss you? Dorian asked. Or is that moving too fast? If you don't kiss me right now, I might actually scream. His hand came up to cup her face, thumb brushing away the tear on her cheek. He moved slowly, giving her every opportunity to pull away, to change her mind. She didn't. When his lips met hers, it felt like coming home and starting an adventure at the same time. Soft and gentle and thorough, like he was learning her, memorizing her, savoring her. Amara's hands found his hair, and she kissed him back with everything she'd been holding back for months. All the want, all the hope, all the terrifying, beautiful feeling of falling for someone who might actually catch her. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Dorian rested his forehead against hers. Wow, he murmured. Yeah, she agreed. They sat like that for a long moment, just breathing together, existing in this new reality where they were allowed to want each other. Finally, Dorian pulled back slightly. I should probably go. It's late, and you've had a traumatic evening, and I don't want you to wake up tomorrow and regret this. I won't, Amara said with certainty. But you're right, you should go. We should figure this out properly. He stood, and she walked him to the door. Before he left, he turned back to her. Can I take you to dinner this weekend, somewhere private where we can just be? Yes, she said. I'd like that. He smiled, a real, full smile that made him look younger, happier. Good. I'll pick you up Saturday at 7. It's a date. It's a date, he agreed. He kissed her once more, soft and sweet, then left. Amara closed the door behind him and leaned against it, a smile spreading across her face despite everything that had happened that night. She'd been scared. She'd been harassed. She'd been pushed to her breaking point. And she'd come out the other side with something she hadn't expected. The beginning of something real. Okay, if you're still with me, if your heart is racing and you're already planning Amara and Dorian's wedding in your head, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. Because we're about to dive into the sweetest, most emotionally devastating part of this story, and you're going to want notifications turned on for what comes next. Trust me. Saturday arrived wrapped in autumn sunshine and Amara's anxious energy. She'd changed outfits 4 times before Simone had video called and staged an intervention. The burgundy dress, Simone had declared, the one that makes you look like a goddess having a casual day. So now Amara stood in front of her mirror wearing said burgundy dress, a wrap style that hugged her curves and made her skin glow, paired with simple gold jewelry and heeled sandals. She looked good, more than good. But more importantly, she felt like herself. At exactly 7 p.m., there was a knock at her door. Amara took a breath, checked her reflection one last time, and opened it. Dorian stood there in dark slacks and a charcoal Henley that should have been illegal, holding a single sunflower. "Hi," he said, and there was something boyish in his smile that made her heart flip. "Hi yourself." She took the sunflower, touched by the simplicity of it. "This is beautiful." "Thank you. It reminded me of you, bright. Impossible to ignore, turns toward light even when everything else is dark." Amara pressed her hand to her chest. "Are you trying to make me cry before we even leave?" "Not trying," he said, "but I won't apologize for meaning it." She put the sunflower in water, grabbed her purse, and let him lead her downstairs to where Marcus waited with the car. "Where are we going?" she asked as they pulled away from her building. "My place," Dorian said. "I have a private chef coming. I thought you said you wanted privacy. Somewhere we could just be." "Your place," Amara repeated. "If that makes you uncomfortable—" "No," she interrupted. "No, it's perfect. I'm not sure I'm prepared for whatever billionaire penthouse means." He laughed. "It's just a home, Amara, with walls and furniture and probably too many rooms I never use." "Probably too many rooms," she mimicked. "Listen to you." His hand found hers on the seat between them, fingers intertwining. "For what it's worth, I'm nervous too." "You? Nervous? Mr. Ice King himself?" "Terrified," he admitted. "I'm about to have dinner with a woman I'm completely gone for. A woman who could destroy me with one disappointed look. A woman I want to impress so badly I've changed the menu twice today." Amara squeezed his hand. "What's the menu? You'll see." Billionaire penthouse turned out to be an understatement. Dorian's home occupied the entire top floor of a building in the most expensive part of the city. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered views of the skyline that looked like they'd been photoshopped. The interior was all clean lines and understated luxury, modern but warm, expensive but lived in. This is. Amara turned in a slow circle, taking it in. Too much? Perfect, she said honestly. It's perfect. Dinner was waiting on the balcony. A private table set for two, string lights creating a soft glow, the city spread out below them like a carpet of stars. The chef had prepared a feast, perfectly seared salmon, roasted vegetables that looked like art, risotto that smelled like heaven. "And for dessert, is that bread pudding?" Amara asked, her eyes lighting up. "I may have asked Patricia what your favorite dessert was," Dorian admitted. "She may have asked your team. They may have told me you bring bread pudding to every office potluck and it's gone in minutes. You researched my dessert preferences. I'm thorough. They ate and talked, really talked. About everything and nothing, childhoods and dreams and embarrassing stories, and the kind of random thoughts you only share with someone you trust." Amara told him about growing up watching her mother work multiple jobs, about being the kid who read during recess, about the professor in grad school who told her she was too outspoken to make it in corporate HR. "I proved him wrong," she said, spearing a piece of asparagus, and then I sent him a very professional email about it. Dorian laughed, that real, full laugh she was becoming addicted to. "Please tell me you have a copy." "Framed in my office, right next to my master's degree." He told her about growing up in a house full of staff but empty of warmth. About his father's stroke when Dorian was 26, thrust suddenly into running a company he wasn't sure he was ready for. About the loneliness of being at the top with no one to share it with. "Every relationship I had before you," he said quietly, felt transactional. They wanted the lifestyle, the status, the Instagram moments. No one ever wanted the actual person underneath. "Their loss," Amara said. "The person underneath is kind of incredible." "Kind of?" "Very incredible," she amended. "Exceptionally incredible. Devastatingly incredible." "Better," he murmured, his eyes warm on hers. After dinner, he gave her a tour of the penthouse. The library made her gasp. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a rolling ladder, first editions mixed with paperbacks in a way that suggested they were actually read. "This is my favorite room," Dorian admitted. "When everything gets too loud, I come here." "What do you read?" "Everything. History, philosophy, terrible spy thrillers, poetry when I'm feeling pretentious." "Poetry," Amara repeated. "You read poetry." Sometimes I even write it. He looked almost embarrassed. Terrible poetry, the kind that would make English teachers weep. I want to read it. Absolutely not. Please? Amara, no, I have some dignity left. She stepped closer, looking up at him through her lashes. Please, Dorian? His resolve visibly crumbled. That's not fair. You can't use my name like that. Like what? Like it means something. He cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. Like you're saying something more than just my name. Maybe I am, she whispered. He kissed her then, slow and deep, backing her gently against the bookshelf. His hands were in her hair, on her waist, mapping her like he was trying to memorize every curve. When they broke apart, both breathless, Amara was smiling. What? He asked. I never thought I'd be made out with in a private library by a man who reads poetry. It feels very Jane Austen. I can stop. Don't you dare. He kissed her again and again, until they were both laughing and breathless and drunk on each other. Eventually, they ended up on his ridiculously comfortable couch, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her waist, just existing in each other's space. Can I tell you something? Amara said softly. Anything. I was so sure I didn't need this, didn't need someone. I thought needing someone made me weak. And now? Now I think maybe wanting someone is actually brave. She tilted her head to look up at him. You make me brave, Dorian. His arm tightened around her. You make me real, Amara. Before you, I was just going through motions, building empires, making money, but not actually living. You walked into my life cursing out your ex in my car window, and suddenly everything had color again. She laughed against his shoulder. That's the most romantic thing anyone's ever said about witnessing my public breakdown. It wasn't a breakdown, it was a revelation. He pressed a kiss to her temple. And for what it's worth, that ex of yours is an idiot. Agreed. They stayed like that for a long time, wrapped up in each other, the city lights twinkling below them like they were the only two people in the world. I should probably take you home, Dorian said eventually, though he made no move to let her go. Probably, Amara agreed, not moving either. We have to be smart about this. Careful, I know. At work, we keep things professional. No one can question your position. I know. And we take this slow, build something real. Dorian? Yes? Stop talking and kiss me again. He smiled against her hair. Yes, ma'am. Okay, if your heart just did that thing, that thing, where you forgot how to breathe watching them in that library, then you need to do something for me right now. Hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell. Because what happens next? The workplace tension, the secret dates, the moment everything almost falls apart and then comes together more beautifully than you imagined? You're not ready for it, but you need to be here for it. The concluding part drops soon, and trust me, the library kiss was just the beginning. The real emotional damage comes next. Subscribe now and let me know where you're watching from in the comment section.